The purpose of me talking about this is not for anyone to ever feel pity or feel bad for me. I literally just want people to know you can overcome trauma. You can overcome severe trauma and be okay. My name is Roxtran. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I was scrolling through Instagram today and I saw this post that really inspired me to want to come on camera and talk about my personal experiences, and I thought that what I have to share could possibly inspire somebody or help somebody go through something that they may be going through. So I just want to jump right into it. I don't really have much to say for an intro. So the post says, I wrote it here on my notebook. It says, when trauma causes you to become stronger, it's called post-traumatic growth, aka PTG. PTG happens in about 10% of people who experience traumas and includes a deepened spiritual life, a new appreciation of life, a vision for new possibilities, and positive change. When I read this post, it hit so close to home because I feel like everything that a doctor was, I don't know anything about this doctor, but a doctor was the one that posted this post. And I saw it on somebody else's story, and I just read it and I was like, wow, that is me in a post, 1000%. What I'm about to share is something that I have never put out on the internet before. And I feel like for my journey, I think that it could be helpful to start from the very beginning. When I envision talking about my journey, I want to start from the bottom so that the progression and the growth is evident and it shows and it's there. So, okay. I'm a survivor. And what do I mean by that? I have survived extremely traumatic experiences in my life. And when I read this post, I felt like I could relate to it so much because as an adolescent and as a young woman and as a woman in her 30s now, I feel like it was always extremely important for me deep inside to not allow my trauma to define who I am as a person. I have been through those years as a teenager where I was depressed because my mind was living in the past. Why did these things happen to me or whatever? But as I got older and as I progressed from that, I learned how to take my negative experiences, my traumatic experiences, and I tried to help it make me a better person. I bet you're wondering, well, what did you go through? It's hard for me to talk about because I don't want anyone to feel bad for me. I don't want anyone to think lesser of me for the things that I've been through in my life. If anything, I want people to know that it's possible to overcome extremely bad situations, and it's possible to overcome really low times in life and come out on the other side smarter and stronger and wiser and not have to be defined by anything that you ever went through. So when I say I'm a survivor, I'm specifically talking about abuse. At the age of 4, I was sexually abused by a caretaker whom my parents trusted to take care of me while they were at work. It's crazy because these are my earliest memories. If you can go back and think about what you were doing at 4 years old, or what kind of problems you could possibly think of that you were having at 4 years old, a normal, healthy child would just, if they even could think about memories from that young, playing, being with your friends or having fun with your family, those are normal memories. I was abused by someone who took care of me. I remember exactly what happened to me and what he did. And what's significant about this, obviously, besides the fact that I was 4, was that he was a grandpa, like like fucking so much older than me. And my parents trusted him to take care of me and to, you know, watch over me while they were gone. And he just took complete advantage. And like working through all that, like growing up, I did, like, as a teenager, I never really talked about it. I never talked about it actually as a teenager, because I don't know, I feel like I remember when I was that little, like when it was happening, I feel like I remember like it was my fault. I feel like I remember wanting that, like wanting that attention. So in my mind, like it was my fault, I guess. Like my memories of things that happened are like not so much vivid, but I know like certain moments, like sometimes throughout my day, sometimes I'll get like a quick flashback and it'll just like come out of nowhere, and I will just be forced to think about it for a second, and then I'll like try and think about something else and then it'll just go away. But this is like something that has stuck to me for my entire life, basically. Okay, so like that is where the beginning of my trauma started. I don't remember how long like I was actually in his care for. I know that I went to him often, like I was dropped off to his house often, but I'm not sure like if it was a span of months or if it was a span of years. Like I'm not sure. Like I'm sure my brain like blocked a lot of it out. I do have memories of like things he used to do to me that I remember wanting, you know, as a little kid. And like as a little kid, you don't know shit. It's the adult's job to protect you and to make sure that you're not in harm's way and to make sure that you're safe, and that just wasn't the case. What's sad about this is that like this is literally just the beginning. This is just the beginning of my traumatic experiences. The first predator got to me at the age of 4. But then my parents switched my babysitter, and that babysitter also took advantage of me. But I'm unclear of like the age I was in. I had to like, I'm just gonna guess between 9 and 11. I also have extremely vivid memories of that. Like, what the fuck? I don't know what to call it, but I have memories of that happening to me. And this was also a much older man. Like they were both grandpas. Like let's just say what it is. They were both grandpas, and they both took advantage of me, and I remember it, and it's disgusting. Like it's disgusting. Like I feel like this is the reason why, if you've ever heard me say, like if you know me in real life and you've ever heard me say that I don't want a daughter, like part of me is saying that because like girls in general are just like a lot, but also I could not imagine ever having a daughter and then like having anything like that, anything remotely close to that be her experience, because I would literally go to jail. The stuff that happened to me when I was younger basically perpetuated until I was in middle school, until I was in high school, until I was a young lady. Like I was just fucked up, and I feel like I am only now seeing 1000% clearly. Not only was I abused when I was just a little kid, I didn't have a great relationship with my dad. This was like the whole time growing up, like from the time I was probably born to like when I moved out of the house. Me and my dad didn't have the greatest relationship. Like I knew he loved me, but like I guess what I had been through in the past like just made me like, I don't know, like just rebel against any male figure in my life, and it just put a lot of strain on our relationship. My dad had no idea, or my parents or my family had no idea what I had went through, because I never told anyone until I was the age of 16. I remember being a teenager, and like I was probably the worst teenager. I was doing things I wasn't supposed to do. I was going to the clubs at 15, 14 years old and like giving fake IDs, and like I always looked older than I actually was, so I took advantage of that for sure. I was sneaking out, like I was terrible. It started off bad, and then it didn't get better until now when I'm in my 30s. I don't know if like my story is just all over the place, but I'm doing the best I can because I didn't write any of this down. I didn't have any of this planned to say, but like I just want to talk from the heart about this. So, because I know that there are women that have been through experiences like mine and won't speak out because they're either embarrassed or like they think like, well, what's the point? What good is that going to do anyone? And I really just want to inspire women. I feel like that's a part of my purpose in life. And for me, like starting fresh and just getting everything out there is like really good for my soul personally. So I feel like I just want to let women know and survivors know, that victims know that it's possible to come out better on the other side. Like even though times are super dark, it does get better if you want it to get better. I guess let me go back to my teenage years. I believe that because of the experiences that I went through as a kid, my relationship with men has always been fucked up. Like fucked up. My brain was wired to look for male approval because of what I went through. I remember like even going to the pool as like a kid or a teenager, and like if the lifeguard was cute, like I needed to make sure he saw me, like stupid ass shit like that. Like the way that your brain gets all fucked up because of like what you went through, it's unreal. Therapy was just not something I wanted to bring up, or it was just not on my radar at all as a kid. Like I didn't want to speak up about anything. I didn't want to talk to them about like what had happened to me so that I could get some help. Like I just didn't tell anyone. I was just acting out. If you're wondering at what point like did I actually tell my parents, I was 16 years old. I was clubbing all the time. I was getting drunk all the time. I was basically living in a state of all I wanted to do was party, 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 because if I had allowed myself to like sit with myself for too long, then I would just be depressed thinking about everything that I went through in my life. And I didn't want to like be conscious of those feelings. So all I wanted to do was party. All I wanted to do was party and get drunk at 16 years old. One night, my parents, or my dad really, had just had enough of me just being out. Like I had stayed out past my curfew, which I did very often because like I would just take the punishment, or there wasn't really punishment. He would just yell at me like so hard, but I would just take it or whatever. But like this one time that I got in big trouble, I basically revealed what happened to me to like not get in trouble. Like as fucked up as that is, I wanted to like deter like what I was doing in that moment by telling them like what happened to me in the past. And that is just, that's fucked up, but like that's literally what happened. I came back, I believe I came back from the club, and all my parents were doing, like, it was basically my dad talking to me the whole time, but all he was really saying was like, why are you like this? 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 And then eventually in that moment, I just said it all. Like I just came out with it, and I just told him exactly what happened. And both of my parents were in shock. Like they could not believe what they were hearing. And there was a part of me that was relieved to like deter their attention from like what I was doing that night to like what I was dealing with in my whole life. But a part of me was also relieved to like finally have told them something that I had been keeping secret in me for a long time. They asked me a whole bunch of questions, and like they made me go to therapy, but I was resistant to therapy. Like I didn't want to talk to someone who I didn't relate to. And, you know, my therapist at the time just wasn't like someone who I wanted to open up to. So that just like, that was kind of pointless to me. So it kind of like, once that therapy was over, like there was no more like talking about it. There was no further discussion with my dad, or there was no further discussion like with my mom about it. I kind of just continued trucking through life, and I wasn't healed on the inside. Like I absolutely was not healed on the inside. Like my brain was still wired incorrectly, like when it comes to thinking, when it came to thinking about men and, you know, my perception of them, or like their perception of me. I carried this over to when I was dating my oldest son's father. Well, really, I carried it over to everyone that I was dating. Like probably every person that I dated, like the relationship just became toxic because I wasn't presented a proper example of like a healthy, loving relationship. So I never really knew what to base that out of. All I knew was like that my parents fought a lot. So like that's what I did in my relationships. Like it was very toxic. Like all the relationships that I was in, we just fought a lot. And that carried over onto the relationship that I had with my son's father, my oldest son's father. There came a point where that relationship was also abusive. And when my son was 3 months old, I had to make a decision like, if I don't get out of this now, I will never get out of it. So when he was 3 months, I moved out of his house where I was living, and I went back into my dad's house. That's traumatic experience number 5054. I want to backtrack a little bit to high school because something significant also happened to me in high school. When you're in middle school, when you're in high school and you're a girl, you're extremely, extremely impressionable. And like your school experience is basically like your whole world. Like everything that happens in school is everything to you at that point in your life. When I was 16, like 16 was such a great year for me. But when I was 16, I was raped. I was raped at a party. It was like it was a high school party, and I got extremely drunk. As I said, I did. And one of the boys that was there, he was, I believe, 2 years older than me. Towards the end of the night, I remember him, like I was extremely like 10 out of 10 drunk. I remember him taking me downstairs to the basement of this house. I remember being incoherent. Like I remember my mind was running, but my body wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. I remember him laying me down. I remember him putting my legs up. I remember him just going for it. And I just remember laying there like, why can't I move? I just kept thinking that, like, why can't I move right now? What is happening? Why am I here? Why can't I move? Yeah, that's like a fucking story out of 13 Reasons. Like, when I saw that show, I was like, that fucking happened to me. Like, that happened to me. And I know that happens to so many girls out there. And that kills me because, like, raise your sons better. Please, raise your fucking sons better. Raise your motherfucking sons better. All of that stuff that I went through just like made me want to be the best mom to my boys as possible so that they grow up as respectable, humble young men. I don't necessarily think that I'm healed from all of the things that I ever went through, but I am in a much happier, saner place right now. There's a lot of habits and a lot of like unlearning that has to go down, like when you've experienced such traumatic things in your life. But it is a process and it is possible. If you know anyone that has experienced this kind of trauma in their life, like, please send them this video because I want to tell them directly that you will overcome if you want to. You will get better and you will feel better if you want to. I know that this video has kind of been all over the place. I didn't really have a format for it, but basically what I wanted to portray in this video is like, from my journey was that like, it started really, really young for me. Like, I was fucked up at a very early age, and I held that a secret from my parents and my sisters and my whole entire family for a really long time, and that did a lot of damage to me. Like, if I would have spoken up about what I went through, I probably could have gotten help. Both of those old men that watched me as a little kid died. So if I would have spoken up earlier, maybe I would have been able to confront them, or my parents would have been able to confront them, and maybe I would have gotten to say my piece to them if I would have spoken out about it sooner. But it's not possible now because neither of them are on this planet anymore, and like, there's no point in me like going to their family and talking about it, because it had nothing to do with them. It was just these men, these nasty, old, gross men. There's no way I could possibly fit all of my trauma into one video, because there was a lot. Like, getting abused at 4 years old does not set you up for life, like, in a good way. It sets you up terribly. So I have been through it when it comes to my relationships with men up until I got with my husband. Like, my husband is my everything. He's my saving grace. He's my everything. My start was really rocky. The middle of my life was pretty rocky because I didn't know how to process what I went through. As a 34-year-old woman, I'm still healing and I'm still learning and I'm still growing, but I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it to my friends and family. I want to talk about it to you, and I want to just inspire people to want to heal, because there are a lot of people that I know out there that let their past define them. They let the things that hurt them continue to hurt them in the present day, and that does absolutely no good for anybody. It doesn't help you become a better person by dwelling on what happened in the past in a negative way. Like, if you want to think about what happened to you, like, think about it and then try to find a way to process to help you heal. My journey of surviving has been a lifelong journey. I want to be there to support other people that have been through the same things that I've been through. I want to be an example for parents out there to watch very closely what your kids are doing, who you leave your kids with. Like, even though you may think you're able to trust somebody, you just never know. You just never know. And what's also really important is communication with your kids. If your kids feel safe communicating with you, like, they will tell you if something bad happened to them. I personally didn't have a good relationship with my dad, so that just pretty much stopped me from talking to him about anything that I went through, or even talking to my mom, because I didn't want my mom to tell my dad. Like, it really starts in the house. It really starts in the house. Like, have an open line of communication with your kids. Let them feel safe enough to be able to tell you literally anything, because you never know what the fuck they're going through. Like, you really never know. You really don't. If you don't allow them to feel safe in their own home, communication wise, and there are going to be things that you're going to find out later on in life that you really wish you knew about them. I want to be an example of a mom that raises good men, because it's so important for sons to know their mom and their dad in a human way, where they can learn from your experiences and they can come out wiser and more knowledgeable and more empathetic to people. They can also grow up to be decent human beings. Oh my God. This is a lot. This is a lot. I don't even know if my timeline telling this story made any sense. If you don't know me and you know someone, or you yourself has been through experiences like I have, and you have no one to talk to, like, please reach out to me. Please find me. Please send me a message. I will be here to talk to you. I look forward to sharing positive experiences. I'm glad I got this out of the way. I'm glad I saw this post this morning because it just gave me a kick in the ass to talk about what I wanted to talk about. Because, like, honestly, this is one of the main things that I wanted to talk about on my channel, because I want this channel to be about growth and experience and living life to the fullest. In order for me to tell the story I want to tell, I had to start here, because this is the beginning for me. I am now 34. I'm still healing. I'm still learning a lot. I'm still trying to unlearn a lot. I'm happy I have an opportunity to be able to talk to myself and talk to an audience and record my life's journey. That's what I'm going to continue to do, and I look forward to sharing better, happier moments than the one that I've shared today. I wish you all love and light, and if you want to follow me on the rest of my journey, please subscribe. If you want to be notified when I post my next video, then hit that notification bell. But otherwise, I will see you on the next video.